Welcome to our first embodied resilience practice. And I've got some things over here that I didn't prepare you for, but hopefully are pretty easy to find. Something like a stool, a chair. This is a tiny bit higher than a regular chair. An arm of a couch works really well. I would not sweat it with what you can find. Lots of puppy assistance. Someone else is excited. I have a little bit of padding for a moment where we'll be on our knees. Now, you may or may not need that depending on if you're on a carpet or a thick mat. My mat is not very thick. So I've got a little tiny bit of padding. And I have a yoga block, which doesn't actually need to be a yoga block. We're going to be pushing it up to the sky, just kind of balancing on our hand. Obviously, I can hold it with my fingers. So maybe it's like a water bottle or even a pillow. It's just an object with a little tiny bit of weight to push against. Just those things or something like that. And go ahead and stand up. We don't need them yet. And I thought today that we would start with the kind of waking up the body. We had a little bit of a request for WD-40. And we're going to get that. But if we were to just kind of roll out of bed, because it's the beginning of the year, first class, let's start with a little shaking. And just almost the laziest version of a bounce and a wiggle and a jiggle possible for you. Also, we have like 3 main values, perhaps we could say here. One is that we are all individual. We all have different movement histories, digestion, sleep patterns, ages, life experiences, bony shapes. Every day is a little different. So there's no one way for all of us. Start to play with your angle of relationship to gravity. Also that we are nonlinear. So that we're going to get rid of our parallel and our square, and we're going to really feel for the body in the round, the volume of ourselves. Let's take our arms out a little bit. And then even up, so we're kind of shaking up. And the last is to encourage a playful yet present curiosity. So really like a sense of wonder, like, whoa, what happens when I try this as we move? So I consider myself the movement buffet. And, you know, I love asparagus, but you might not like asparagus. You get to try things on and decide. Right now, while we're here, see if you can get the lymph areas in the armpits and shoulder blades really going. Shake it off like you're throwing off of your fingers. And let that slowly come back down. And now shake up to your shoulders. There's all kinds of little illnesses going around, so we're intentionally getting our lymph system really fluid. Feel free to stay with that or shake one leg, maybe hold on to something for balance. And the less effort, the better. So you might start just at your foot and then let that creep up into your calf and your thigh. And you might tip and play with your relationship to that leg, or you might stay in just one spot until we can take the jiggle, like wiggling the key in the lock, up into our hip. Yeah, the other leg's working too a little bit. And release. Just check out the difference. On the other side. And even if our mind is down there in the toes, see if you can be present to the whole of you and your breath. Play with variety, so we really get out of muscling our way into that vibration up into the hip. Less muscle, more gravity. And just a little extra shake of the hands and the fingers, different angles, turning your palms in and down. And then soft knees, make fists, shake your butt. Shake your sacrum free. Awesome. Take your hands together and rub them together until you feel a little bit of warmth. And then we'll take that warmth over our eyes, closing the eyes and just taking a moment to feel your inward gaze, letting this be time for yourself, away from the outside world. And let your hands come down off your face to rub again. Get a little bit of warmth. Some days it's easier than others for me. I don't know why, but always a little bit. And place this over your ears for the invitation to listen within. And then we're going to take that scrubbing onto our body. And a little bit in your own way, with circles around the joints. It could go slow and strong, or it could be a little quick. Just getting some proprioception, some blood flow, and a little extra in the armpit and above and below your collarbone for our lymph system. I know I told some of you may have heard this. I got COVID the second time in October, and stuff just lingers. So I've been really into this lymph stuff, and it's making a big difference. Pass it on. When you're ready, scrub to the other arm, little circles around the joints. And really, it's about your own conversation with yourself. So if you find a place that feels really good, you can stay longer. Lots of breath. And we're just going to scrub all the way down. So you can scrub around your belly and your hips, sacrum. Changing the speed and the length of your strokes down your legs, circling in the joints, all the way down your feet. And then whenever you make it back up, turn your palms and go from the sacrum to the ribs, so around the lower back, kidneys, up and down, up and down. And then around the sides of your hips. So feeling the ridge of the pelvis. And then let your hands cross over beneath the navel, between the navel and the pubic bone. Feel your feet on the floor. Eyes can be on one point or closed. Feel a softening in your joints, but a fullness of the inner body. And the invitation of your breath and focus inside the body behind your hands. In Chinese medicine, the lower dantian. In Ayurveda, the kanda. This deep root strength and connection. And then release your hands. And let's take our arms out and up like a big giant X marks the spot. And give just a big yawn through your fingers and your toes. And then we're going to reach one side a little bit more. And the other side. And that's your basic invitation, and it can go in a lot of different ways. So it can be a sense of opening the side body. It can be even looking down, adding a little spiral. You can keep your legs straight or experiment with bending one leg at a time, or maybe even keeping both bent. And really feel this yawning quality. Maybe there's a spot that you want to stay. Maybe you want to keep it going back and forth. just about 10 moments. Feel the equal and opposite push-pull, guiding the shape that emerges by what feels good. Oh, sound effects are always welcome. Mm. All the way out through your fingers and your wrists. Oh. Keep going, but just make it a little smaller. Coming back to the center little by little. And then we're going to reach across. So same thing, but reaching across the midline. And see if you can feel the force as like a flow. So as I reach, it pulls all the way down into my foot. And I find this kind of wave happening. You might find something different, but feel like it continues through all the way down into the ground. And then look up to what you're reaching for. Oh, yes. Last few. We're connecting right, left, up, down, sky and earth. Bring it back, give it a little shaking out. And let's find our stool, chair, couch, arm. And my hope is that inspire you with things that are so simple, you can do them all the time. And also some things that are really practical. So we're going to spiral down and up into a seat. And feel free to go with me or to watch. I'm going to actually kind of step back almost like a lunge. I know my chair is there. I see it. And I'm going to spiral down to sit. And if it's hard to see that first, it's easy from here to spiral and stand up. Now let's just do that back and forth. Spiral down to sit. Feel free to use your hands and turn the other way. You could go real slow. The height of your object's going to make a difference. You could be resisting gravity or really giving into gravity. And as we age, for all the joints of the lower body, this can be really helpful and efficient. And as a little mini vinyasa, we can add lunging walking pattern. So if I spiral up, I'm going to take the same arm as the back leg and reach, and I kind of have a little bit of a lunge side bend moment. And then I'm just going to fall down the drain to come back. It's an option. You can even use the backhand on the chair to help you. And come on down. Inhale, perhaps, if we're in the flow. Exhale, feel your feet, feel your seat, feel the ground. Inhale to reach and expand. Exhale to come down. A couple more times to play. We could also say we don't need to sit all the way down. We could stay in a squat, across. And we don't even need to keep flowing. We might say, oh my gosh, this is the side. Stay a few breaths. Are you present to the whole as a flow of distributing force and awareness? Or maybe 2 or 3 more. Till you even out. And we can land on our seat again. Your index fingers right outside the base of your nose with little circles. Pressure is up to you for the sinuses. 'Tis the season. And then under the cheekbone, pull out. And we'll take 3 fingers on the eyebrows, press in, And then rake up your head as you lift your chin, like a little bit of a back bend. And then drop your chin, touch your eyebrows again, and rake up with a little bit of a lift in your whole spine. Exhaling, coming down. Cat cow with face massage coming up. And release your hands. Take your hands to the top of your ears and unroll the top of your ears as you pull a little bit wide and up like Dr. Spock. There's all kinds of Star Trek reruns over the holidays. I forgot about Dr. Spock. Like that he really wasn't a human. See if you can take that all the way down to the lower lobes pulling away from the center of your ear. And then if you were to follow the curve of your ear to the spiral inside, I hope you guys can see that. There's a little kind of pocket. Get in there and do a little bit of a circle with your fingers. And then split your fingers, either peace sign fingers or nanu nanu around your ears. Give a little scrub at the front and the back of your ears and side of your jaw. And you can take it down the jaw, 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 jaw. Awesome. Let's clasp our hands. Flip your palms and keep a little bit of a roundness so the elbows pull apart. Take this up a little in front of your head, about 45 degrees, and then circle just your arms. Let your breath find its rhythm or be independent. Switch direction, staying nice and tall. And then we'll go straight up and out to the side. Clasp the other thumb on top. Feels a little weird, same thing. Pull apart, come on up. And now we're going to circle our belly and our arms in opposite directions. So we go into the side of the ribs, the front of the ribs, the back of the side of the ribs, the back of the ribs. Keep pulling apart with your arms, opening that body in the round. Change directions when you're ready. Feel like a big yawn. Oh, the pace is up to you. Let your breath find its rhythm. 2 more. Oh, last one. Let's come all the way up. And release the hands. Lift your heart, lift your eyes, and then wave your spine through the center. Drop your tail like an anchor and roll up. Reverse from the top of your head. Dive like a dolphin. And then look up like you're coming up under the wave. Let's try that again. Wave, feel from the lower body to the top. Drop your tail round from the lower body to the top. From the top, dive. From the top, scoop. Same thing, go over one leg, doesn't matter which. Wave your spine, your heart. Drop your tail, roll it up. Dive. And scoop up. Let's go to the other side. Wave out. Drop your tail, roll up. Dive. And come on up. Let's try it again. Exhaling, wave forward. Inhaling like your lungs are behind you. Exhaling, dive up and over something. Inhale, scooping up for air. One more in the middle. Reaching the whole time. Inhale to come up. Exhale, dive. And rise. Go to the leg you went to last. And wave. Don't think too hard about it. Round up. Dive out. Inhale, arch up. Other leg, way. And roll up. And dive. And rise up. Whew, shake that off a little bit. We're going to play with some options. So one option is we can continue playing up and down our spiral sit, or we can feel gravity, find the chair, kind of move around it with a little weight on our hands, or we're going to take the chair away and do that towards the floor. So my inspiration is my recent most mind-blowing learning that we are not truly tensegrity structures. That's a really wonderful model, but we are temporary contextual tensegrity structures that are constantly disassembling and reassembling in a flow. So the chair or any other furniture is a half size kind of option if you don't want to go all the way down or you want to play. But I want us to just feel what would happen if we kind of release, those those toys and you push the button and all the elastic releases and they start to fall. And what's the laziest way to find the ground? And we're going to come all the way down if you are finding the ground. If you're on the piece of furniture, just your hands, you're going to keep kind of pouring. Lazy, 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 lean onto your hands so that you can get your feet under you and then shift your weight back up. We'll do that a few times. Playful, curious, no rush. Disassemble, pouring into the other pause, folding. It's like a very, very mindful collapse. And then shift into your hands to get your feet under. Find different ways. Different ways. And really play with the downward movement. So when we release to gravity or when we consciously press as a dance with gravity, shifting through different parts of our structure and relationship to support. And the last couple, just become aware also of what's happening for your head and neck and your eyes. So they're a continuation of whatever your spine is doing. We are going to end up standing, so maybe one or two more times. Getting used to using those other paws are so helpful if we have an accidental collapse, not the mindful kind. Right. When you come up standing, let's find our object, block or whatever you've got. So we want to have it where we can push up from underneath in a kind of balance. I mean, we can help with our fingers. It doesn't have to be 100% of a balance, but we're not holding on to it like something smaller than our hand, like a pen or a weight. So we're going to push it up. We're going to let our legs take up some room and bend a lot. First, we're just going to see what's there to find. So I'm going to push this up and I'm trying to get myself under it. So I'm going to lean away and I'm just going to kind of move around a little bit. Just to see before we give ourselves a big task. Really push from underneath. Make sure you're breathing. Check where you've kind of landed, what it feels like. Does it feel integrated, whole? Good. Change sides. It's tricky if we don't let the rest of our body move. There's only so many options. We're here to increase our options by moving all the things. And breathing while you're at it. And nothing too fast, nothing forced. Going slow enough to respect your own range, joint relationships more than just the shoulder, right? Cool. So we're going to try a little pathway that's all built in. Let's try it without the block really quick. You can put it down and you can hold it. Has anyone done like a martial arts training called teacups, where you're supposed to be balancing tea and you don't want to spill the tea? We're going to do one arm at a time. So if we had our palm up, and we're going to turn our arm in. When we use the block, we're going to let our body move more. And we're going to take it behind us, and it's going to be internally rotated, which means like a butterfly stroke. The palm up, so we can pass it to the other hand. And then to come out, we have to unwind that arm. Let's just go back the way we came without the block. We're not going to go up as high, but we have to turn our thumb in, pass behind, and then turn our pinky out. Yeah, let's try it with this. Slowly, and pushing it above us and getting our body underneath. So we're asking actually the most movement from the rest of our body. But I'm going to start to turn my torso down as I turn my thumb in, bending the elbow when I feel I need to. Pass the object to the other hand, and I have to go away from it with my torso to unwind and stay under it and come back up. Hopefully you've gotten something that is soft in case it falls. Let's try the other way. So the pushing up high is part of the good shoulder vitamin C. Our shoulders are made, woo, there goes mine, made more for hanging than for weight bearing. And so we're kind of replicating that with a different angle of the force, different direction of the force. On your own, just have a little time to play. There's so many ways we could move our legs and torso to get around, to get under. You can use the fingertips to help guide a little bit. Ah, yeah. Go slow. Take your time, bending anything that needs to make it easier. Elbow, knees. Yeah. One more back and forth, or if you're going slow, you can finish off and make sure we're even. Notice often one side leading is different. Sometimes I find that the non-dominant side tends to work for people because we think less. And the dominant side, we tend to like override with what we think we know, right? Oh, yeah. Nice. Nice. Looking good. Fantastic. Lots to play with there. For now, we're going to put our object either on the floor, or if bending down to the floor multiple times doesn't sound like your idea of fun, you can put it on your chair or another piece of furniture. And we're just going to take a little tiny bit of balance to go get that object. So on one leg, we're going to go get it. And then we're going to switch the leg and we're going to put it down and stand up. And switch the leg and go down and get it. Come up, switch the leg and put it down. And switch the leg. And every time you go get it, maybe it's a little different way you go get it. And you're breathing and you're taking your time. And every time you go up or down, you switch the leg and you play with something different. You'll get good balance work without needing to go all the way onto the floor. Or like 2 more up and downs. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And just noticing what you find about the choices you're making and what's easy and what's challenging and what's comfortable. And then next time you put it down, just put it down somewhere you don't need it. Awesome. Shake it off a little bit. Is anyone else surprisingly warm? Okay. We're going to make our way to the floor. We're going to have our padding, if we need padding, kind of nearby. It's an opportunity. You can find your easy collapse, or we can take a deep breath, just getting as big as possible since we're going to head down, and wave your spine. And then shift to one side and then the other. And let's just come to hands and knees. However you get there, make the padding if you need to for your knees. Because we'll be moving our knees a little bit. So even if you're okay just on a table pose, I recommend a little extra padding. We're bringing our feet together, our knees together. And we're going to wag our toes and our tail and let there be a little bit of a sideways wag through the spine. Now, again, the size, the speed, the intensity is up to you. It could be kind of really small. And what I want us to play with is that follow through with playing with our height of the upper body. So bending the arms, maybe even bending one a little stronger and one a little softer. As if you could aim this wiggle, wave, into any sticky spots, all the way up into your upper back. So for me, when I bend, I feel my shoulder blades moving a little bit more. Present to your breath and to what feels good. Maybe even out through your face. One more. Well, let's just take a downward dog that's alive to stretch out the knees. Maybe it wants to walk, maybe it wants to wag. Maybe you want to stay in a bit of a squat. Just take a few breaths for yourself to feel the flow of your relationship to force and gravity as a deep embodiment of just being alive, all the way from hands to feet. And then I'm going to still use my padding, but we're going to come to hands and knees. So it doesn't, mine is kind of small. So if you do have small padding, our knees are going to be apart. And we're just going to shift our weight forward and back, noticing the hands get heavier, the knees get lighter, and vice versa. And then we're going to take our lunges for a little walk. So as I come forward, I'm going to step my right foot wide, replace my right hand, and just let my right hand explore where it wants to go. And then I shift back. How far back is up to you? You could go all the way back, kind of like child's pose. Shift forward, take a step, and just explore. And back. And again, in your own curiosity, does your body want to stay for a few breaths, or do you want to keep moving for the WD-40 spirits? How does the different angle of your arm make a difference? Does it go out to the side? Does it go back? Does it go up? How are you transitioning from the foot support to your hand support? Think of there being like infinite options, and that the only wrong way is to do exactly the same thing every single time. And at some point, we can go ahead and stay on one side. At some point. And sometimes I like to even keep one hand on my knee. I could use my object, I could use the floor. Again, lots of options. I want us to just give a little stirring to the hips. Often we love forward and back, which is wonderful. But in the round, see if we can get a little bit of a, maybe side to side, maybe a little back, like you're inside of a bowl and you're trying to get all of the chocolate sauce. If you don't like chocolate, peanut sauce, caramel sauce. And when you're ready, change the leg. And again, your hand could be on the ground, could be on the knee, could even be up, high. And just no expectation, totally different side. Stir it up a little bit. And then back to a down dog that's alive, to stretch back through your knees. And then come down to your knees, cross your ankles, and let's take a seat. In half straddle. So fold one foot in to your thigh and the other leg long. Doesn't matter which side. And shift your weight side to side on your sit bones, which could be an idea. Could be just imagination at first. Maybe you feel it. Maybe one lifts up. Notice it's different because our legs are doing different things. If it feels hard to move there, you can support behind and just think of, again, wiggling a key in a lock. All these little intrinsic muscles, but also little tiny different vectors to unlock the hips. And if it's moving, see if you can find it waving upward. So what happens if we just walk from the sit bones and follow it through? Walk from the sit bones and follow it through. Imagine even beyond your head. Beyond. Maybe it's a soft, rocking little meditative movement. Maybe we go low. Your arms want to follow it through. They don't have to. Maybe they want to. Do they want to stay in any place? Let your movement initiate from the lowest point. Five more breaths. Choose your own adventure anywhere in this realm. Feeling the follow through as what integrates us into a whole rather than thinking of the different parts of the body independently. When you're ready, change legs. Other side, half straddle. Start small and just curious. For me, this is so different. So different because my bent leg side has a little reminder of a very long hike that is trying to linger in my knee. Right? So every day is a little different. If you need help to wiggle the key, use your hands to support you behind. If it's starting to flow, just get curious. How can you follow it as if you're watching a river go by and you're not making it happen, but you're in collaboration? And you can welcome the wings if you like, without any expectation about how they follow through. Still initiating from the lowest point of the base. Still letting your breath be a result of the movement rather than on top of it. One side different. Jaw relaxed. Last few breaths. Change to the first side when you're ready. And like we sitting did our wave one way and the other way from the base and from the top, let's do the sideways wave from the top, kind of like a Stevie Wonder style. And instead of going down, imagine a point above the head. I always think of, the Dwadashanta, this chakra that's 12 fingers above the head, reaching into there and a little to the side. And a little to the side, and see if that can follow through down to your connection to the ground. So it's a little bit of a stretch through the spine. Again, it can be more in the upward direction, or you can go more in the outward direction. This one usually feels like a little bit more core connection, not a bad thing. And does not have to stay, and probably won't stay on the flat plane. So you can let your body follow the side spiral. Again, welcoming any place you want to stay. Welcoming your arms. For me, my arm likes to go away from my head to stretch my neck. But that's me. Make it smaller. To converge on the center. And change to the second side. Imagine from above the head and reach into it. If you're ever in a place of, delicacy, not delicacy, being delicate, right? Like a little bit of a tweak in the spine, something really mild with this undulation is so, 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 so helpful. If it feels really strong, we can take it bigger. But all of those opposite curves, the concave and convex, create a pathway for force to flow through that vertical center in an oscillatory undulation that's in the round, in like a figure eight. So if in doubt anytime you're like, oh, I don't know, you just keep it real small. With the reach. Last few breaths. Start to come back. Let's shake out both legs in front just a little bit. And then find a straddle. And we're not trying to open to end point or a maximum. If it feels hard to be here, we can still lean back. There is no problem about that. And then think of starting from upstairs. So for me, upstairs is above the diaphragm. You could think of above the head. You could think of the crown, eyes, heart. And we're going to look over to one side. We're going to look to that side and see if we can feel the follow through. Lean behind us and then turn our legs with us. So we end up kind of like a pinwheel. A couple breaths here, just see how you like where you landed. The furthest toes, when you can't see, we're going to stretch those toes away and see if that can pull your hip open and that pours through the whole pelvis to bring us back. I'm going to show from the side so you can see that I'm going back a little bit. I'm going to look to the other side. And I'm going kind of in the back diagonal. And my legs are lazy, 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 and they just kind of wind with me. I'm making the choice to stop. We could keep going. Just take a moment to breathe, to feel. And then the furthest toes behind are going to stretch and see if you can feel that pull through the joint. Unfold your pelvis and bring you back. Just play with this a little on your own. I find that the trick is sometimes we want to do more than just relax and see how the body organizes itself. You could play with your torso being lower to the ground. And then the far toes are going to pull, and that's going to unwind you. And then we'll look. And it's a sense of being really easy, but also very full, like a buoyancy rather than a collapse. Far toes, stretch. And one of the ideas that we can embody from yoga is this balance of opposites. And in Ayurveda too, the magic is when we find the coexistence. See if you can feel the upper and lower, like the torso and the leg. This spiraling arc that goes through the whole. Legs are doing two different things. But also when your leg pulls, it's like you don't want to come with it. You're kind of lagging behind. Maybe like 10 more moments to either keep flowing or feel a place you want to hang out. And breathe. Evening out. And then whenever you're ready, coming back. No rush. Shake out your legs a little bit. And then lean to one side, a little breakdancing move. We're going to sweep our legs over until one foot comes to the thigh and the back foot, without your hand, I was going to show, just to point out, we want to avoid being on the inside of the ankle and see if we can be more on the top of the foot. Some of us are going to be comfortable sitting here. Some ankles are not going to be comfortable, and we just lean away so we don't put the weight on them. So call this a zigzag. We'll be here a lot. Let's look over the more front knee, the foot to thigh leg, and kind of take a little bow, maybe onto the hands, maybe onto the forearms, maybe with a support for your head. And just slow, slow breath. Restful, akin to child's pose. If your other ankle is happy, maybe come in between both knees. So the torso is more in the center of the legs. And we're getting a little variety of vectors of relationship in both hips. And we're just going to breathe as low and slow as possible. Empty the jaw. Relax the corners of your eyes. And when we come up, feel how you're going to lean and push, and you're still in this relationship with gravity, shifting where your support is. Lean back, sweep your legs to the front. Other side. Sweep them around. Back foot, you're on the toenail side. Some ankles might be different. You just lean away. And we'll go towards the more front leg first. If your back ankle is happy, you can come towards more of a centering between the knees. And just dive your awareness down, down inside with your breath. So before you move, we're going to come onto our back, and we could come up to seated like we came in, but we don't have to. We could just also kind of fall over, because the numbers of ways in and out of a place, the more transitional options we have, the better organized that place we find ourselves is, the more options we have, the more resilience we have. So on our back, feet to the floor, one rolling bridge. Breathe low into your belly. And then exhale, push your feet and feel your tail scoop a little. And then lift your pelvis. Lift your arms overhead. Give yourself a big stretch through your bridge. Plug your heels in and smile at your glutes. Reach your knees and your fingers away. Keep your throat nice and free. And then lift your heels. Keep the stretch of your arms and roll down just your upper back. Pause and breathe into the point of contact on the ground. Keep stretching and roll down your middle back as best you can. And pause and breathe into the point of contact on the ground. And then exhale, roll all the way down. Release your legs wide and your arms wide. And they could be anywhere. They could be at your sides, like Shavasana. They could be up high like a star or bent. You could even be on your side. I like to just frame our relaxation as an integration. Every exhale, you're melting into every contact point like a puddle. You're melting the effort in your skin, especially in your face and your forehead. And can your awareness be diffuse and omnipresent through the whole of the inner body? Whole inner body at once. You're aware of the breath breathing you without any effort or any action of controlling the breath. Be curious to feel for the breath behind the breath. The impelling pulsation or spanda. As if in the whole inner body at once. Staying relaxed a few more moments. Or since you're at home, you can choose to stay many more moments. And you keep some sense of the whole of you. As you begin to come back in a very gentle, very mindful way. That could be a little movement and a pause. That could be some yawning. But we're going to stay with this idea of pouring into the support, dancing with gravity a little bit. Where do we give in and where do we root down? So that whenever you're ready to come back, whether it's in the 5 breaths or 5 minutes or 5 hours, you can take that with you. Let's just bring our hands to our heart, one on top of the other, like a butterfly. In Chinese medicine, the upper dantian. And this mudra in yoga is svabhava, the self essence, the feeling of your essence. Also feels like a hug, just appreciating yourself and feeling the quality of just touching the heart as a reminder to touch into the source of your heart, mind, heart wisdom, kindness, love at any moment. And just say to yourself, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thanks for being here on our first day. We'll keep going, always open for requests.